But there were 8 olive trees in the beautiful garden of Gethsemane. And it's hard to think about the garden of Gethsemane and not think about the olive trees that are in the garden of Gethsemane. And it's hard to think about the olive trees that are in the garden of Gethsemane and not think about the olive oil that comes from the olives that's attached to the tree that is planted in the garden of Gethsemane. And you can't hardly think about the olive oil without thinking about the pressing of the olive, the thing that the olive has to go through. As a matter of fact, the garden of Gethsemane literally means the place of pressing. It means the place of squeezing. It means the place of, somebody says, I've been living in Gethsemane and I didn't even know it. It is the place where pressure begins to mount. It's the place that puts you to the edge. It's that place. It's the place where the olive is taken through a process that releases the oil that is on the inside. I said it's the place where the olive is taken through a process that releases the oil that is on the inside. It is disfigured there. It is destroyed there. It is maimed there. It is mangled there. It is done that until outwardly it no longer looks like an olive. You can't even recognize it as being an olive. And inwardly it is dry because everything that it has been through has drained it and completely depleted it. So it no longer resembles an olive. It no longer feels like itself. It no longer feels like an olive. It has lost its identity. And it's lost its identity because of the pressure. It's lost its identity because of the crushing that it has been through. It's lost its identity as a result of the weight that has been placed upon it that has broken it down. When we first started going to New York City, many years ago, I would look at the bridges and I'd watch all of the cars that would get on those bridges, and I would say to myself, I'm going to hold my breath while we go over this bridge. And then I would realize how much traffic was in New York City. And I knew I couldn't hold my breath to get across that bridge. But it bothered me long before Homeland Security was watching the bridges in New York City. I was watching them. See, but I wasn't watching for somebody to blow them up from beneath. My fear was that somebody was going to break them down from the top, from all of the weight that had been forced upon them day in and day out, year after year, tons and tons of weight that had been driven over the top of those bridges. I was worried because I knew that when too many things carrying too much weight goes across your life too many times without inner support or without inner reinforcement, something is going to collapse and somebody is going to get hurt. And what once stood real strong and real steadfast and real sturdy has now crumbled because of the pressure. The master is in the garden of Gethsemane and he is crumbling from the weight of the world that is on his shoulder. And incidentally, he had to go through it all by himself. Tell somebody, be prepared to be alone. The multitudes are gone because now he is no longer serving lunch. And so because there's no fish and there's no 5 loaves, everybody has scattered. And not even the disciples, he couldn't even count on his inner core to be there for him. He asked for them and he asked for them to pray. He said, my heart is very heavy. My soul, my will, my intellect, my emotions are exceedingly sorrowful. Will you tarry with me? Will you watch with me? Will you pray with me? Not that he felt like they could say anything that would change the will of the Father, but that mean? That means his entire support system has broken down. He can't count on who he could have, should have, and would have been able to count on. He's reaching out to them. He's reaching out for help, but they are sleeping through one of the biggest crises of the master's life. He not only reached once, but he reached twice, but he didn't stop with just 2 times. The Bible said that he reached out 3 times, because when you're in a crisis, and when you're at a place of squeezing, when you are at a place of pressing, we have a tendency to reach for stuff, even if it ain't working. Ooh, tell your neighbor, stop reaching for what ain't working. 3 times he reached out for people to help him while he was under pressure. And 3 times God let them disappoint him, because he never, ever, ever can get all the glory out of your life until your expectation is of him. And when your expectation is of him and not of people, Psalm says, my soul waits for thee, O God. My expectation is not in my husband. It's not in my friends. My expectation is from him. And he's under pressure. And he's pacing, under so much pressure that he's pacing the grounds of the Garden of Gethsemane. He goes from talking to God 1 minute to talking to people the next. He talks to God and says, Father, if it be thy will, let this cup pass from me. But God ain't saying nothing. So he decides, well, okay, I'm going to go talk to the disciples. So he gets over to where they are, and they ain't saying nothing either, because they are asleep. And so he decides, let me wake them up. Peter, what's up, man? Could you not tarry with me 1 hour, Peter? Well, Peter ain't talking because Peter is asleep. So he leaves Peter and he goes back to God. Oh God, my Father, if it be possible, can this cup please pass from me? Once again, God ain't saying a word. So he heads back over to talk to people. Y'all, that's us right there. I'm so sorry. If God ain't talking, we try to get people to talk. And so now he heads back over there and he sees them again. And this time, he left them and went away. And he prayed. And he used those same words. But the 3rd time was the charm. Because the 3rd time, he had prayed his way through that situation. Ooh, God, y'all don't know nothing about praying through. But when I was coming up, people would use terms like praying through. You know, grab a hold of the altar and pray till you pray through. Pray till you know that you know that you know that God has answered your prayer. He had prayed his way through that thing. And grace is what God